So we hit about 10k a month and I was buzzing. I was thinking, this is easy. I was actually out celebrating in a restaurant in Bristol when I got this call from our client in LA who'd just woken up, logged on, and he basically said, "Hey Callum, we all just got laid off. I don't know what's happening to the podcast, but I guess it's getting shut down. Good luck." What's up guys, hope you are good wherever you are in the world. I am rooting for you. It has been a year since I uploaded, so I wanted to come back and tell you what the hell has been going on, give you a little bit of an update. The good news is I'm still alive. The content agency I started last year is still going. It hasn't failed just yet. And actually last month we hit 18k a month in monthly revenue. Exactly a year since I started this thing with absolutely zero experience. Yeah, we've got some amazing clients. I found myself in some amazing situations this year, and I've got an awesome little team. So I wanted to do a reflective piece, basically the 11 steps to 18k a month. All of the stuff I wish I'd known a year ago that would have saved me a lot of pain and probably would have helped me get here in about half the time. I hope it's useful to you if you're looking to do the same thing, and even if it's not useful to you, you can just laugh at some of the stupid mistakes I made. Let's dive in. So step one is stop betting on other people. So I'd spent about 7 years working in startups and hadn't landed at the next Google, and my idea had been to work in a high impact company where you own a bit of the business and you have a lot of fun, but also after a few years of hard work, you exit with a nice chunk of money when the business has an exit or gets bought by someone. Anyway, it's fair to say that hadn't happened. And I was really tired of working on other people's visions in cultures that weren't always great. And I come to this realization, why do we trust other people with what we were doing day to day and basically our futures? Likely they are no more skilled than you and their ideas are no better. So I took the jump, and this is the hardest step. This took a lot of mental energy to finally do. I'd always had ideas and thoughts about doing this, but this is the hardest thing. And then as soon as you do it, it's like you've left the matrix and there's no going back, and it'll be the best thing you ever do. So if you're in the same situation that I was in, a little bit lost, frustrated, wanted to pursue freedom and do something which you really loved every day, just fucking do it. Step two is test an idea. So I love podcasts, and I realized that most of them suck at social media. I also noticed that social platforms were heavily promoting video, and so my idea was to take a 1 hour video podcast, chop it up into loads of clips, and make them go viral on social media. So I found 2 podcasts who are willing to try it, and it worked. Shout out to Lewis Morgan, the founder of Gymshark and a bunch of other phenomenal businesses. He was the first person to test my clips, and then Danny Buck, the founder of Crafted, another amazing business. They both tested my clips, and very quickly, we were doing hundreds of thousands of views, adding thousands of followers, and I knew my idea worked. So step 3 is winning clients. How the hell do you do that? My experience of this is that basically you need to give as much value as possible with zero expectation. And so what I did was chop up podcasts into little clips and send them to them, suggesting we do a paid trial. And what's amazing about just going to that little bit of extra effort is most people will send an email offering a service. Very few people will just do it because they believe in it so much. And so when I did that, my hit rate was about 50%. Of people said yes to a paid trial, and I made sure I targeted the best in the business. So being podcast, the best podcast in Europe, Diary of a CEO, Stephen Bartlett, and these type of people are who I was targeting and who was saying yes. And the amazing thing is when you work with the best people in the business, everyone else then wants to work with you. So we were in business. Step 4 is it's easy to get customers, it's harder to keep them. So we hit about 10k a month in less than 3 months, and I was buzzing. I was thinking, this shit is easy. We'll be at tens of thousands in just a few months. I was actually out celebrating in a restaurant in Bristol, a sunny day, having some beers with an editor, when I got this call from our client in LA who'd just woken up, logged on, and he basically said, "Hey Callum, we all just got laid off. I don't know what's happening to the podcast, but I guess it's getting shut down. Good luck." And it was the first much needed lesson that business is a lot like surfing. One second you're riding a wave, loving it, enjoying it, everything's brilliant, and the next second you're face planting into the ocean. And it's very rare that you see it coming. It just wipes you out of your board. The key when these things happen is just to keep surfing, paddle back out and get back on the next wave. Step 5 is find some other weirdos. So with this experience, I had realized that entrepreneurship might be quite a bit of a lonely road on my own. And so I sought out a couple of other people who were on a similar journey. One of them is a guy called Jay, who just quit YouTube and was looking at what was next, and Sam, who's a serial startup entrepreneur who was also in a similar spot. Basically, we set up a Slack group, regular calls where we could share our problems, but we could also share our goals and then make sure that we were sticking to them. And this was a huge unlock. If you can find some people who are in a similar space to you, similar spot on the journey, it just psychologically is a massive, massive help. And more than that as well, you've got some people who are not emotionally invested in your business and can maybe help you with stuff and call you on some of your bullshit. So find some other weirdos. Step 6 is leveling up. So I'd hired freelancers to get the business off the ground from platforms like Fiverr and Upwork, where you can pay people per hour or by project. And that had taken me to a point. And then one of those editors delivered a piece to quite a prestigious client that was below expectations. And then worse than that, they were quite rude to the client when they were told that it wasn't good enough. So rightfully, we got fired and it was time to level up. And this is a constant. I think you constantly need to be thinking, what's gotten me here is not going to get me there. So is the team good enough to get me to the next level? Are the tools we're using good enough to get me to the next level? Are our systems good enough to get us to the next level? You constantly need to be leveling up. Step 7 was a huge part of that. And that is basically assembling a dream team. So I'd now realized that if you're in the service business, if you run an agency, you're in the people business. You're basically selling your people's expertise, their insights, how they communicate, even how they look. And cheap freelancers weren't going to cut it. So it was time to take on full-time staff and build an elite team. I was really lucky. I found some amazing people, and shock horror, our work really went to the next level. Step 8 is getting insane results. So we started taking clients from 100k views a month to 10 million views a month, and we started taking people from 1k a month in YouTube AdSense to 10k a month in YouTube AdSense. And to see results compounding over time was amazing. And I think that's the amazing thing you have to think about is, like, imagine if you work with someone for 3, 6, 9, 12 months, a long-term partnership, like what you can do. It is phenomenal. And at this point, I just started taking massive pride in the team and our work. So as much as possible, you need to engineer scenarios where you're working with people for the long term. Step 9 is learn business basics. So as I said before, one second you're surfing, you're feeling great, you have an amazing moment. We were just having these great results after working with people for quite some time. And the next second you're face planting into the ocean. So we worked with some great people over the last year, but we also got burnt. And all I will say is, if someone can't commit to working with you for 3 months, if they can't pay up front or on time, it's a massive red flag. And if they just can't treat you fairly or communicate with you weirdly, it's a huge red flag. Do not work with them. I must underline as well that these things just sound so obvious, but when you're in it, you want to see the best in people and you want to think that you can work stuff out, or maybe they're having a bad day or whatever it is, but they're not going to change. And particularly in the modern world, with people who might have a large social following or potentially a good reputation, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be a good client, and that you should ignore any of those things. So if you see red flags, run a mile. Step 10 is develop the offering. So the amazing thing is, when you do good work, people will just ask you to do more. So people started asking us, can you take over the full podcast, video and audio production? Could you do a YouTube clips channel so we can monetize that as well? Can you help me with my personal brand? And we developed new offerings. I think it's so easy to think that you have to come up with new offers and new product ideas or services, but actually they'll just reveal themselves naturally. And the more you work with people, the more they'll just ask you to help with all these things. Step 11 is hitting 18k a month, exactly a year to the day since I started this thing with zero experience. And what's amazing is I've done no sales or business development really since those first few months. So it's just come from growing what we do with a very select few clients and maybe like 1 or 2 referrals that they've given us. I think it's just amazing what you can do in a year. You can go from like nothing to something pretty significant, a team of people, and we're in a place where the next year we can actually do some sales, do some business development, and grow what we're doing massively. So if you're in a similar space that I was like a year ago, yeah, like just back yourself. There's no better thing to do. And yeah, I wish you a lot of luck. What's next? Well, I'm going to be starting series 2 of the podcast. So we're going to have a bunch of creators and entrepreneurs on here. So if you've got any people that you would love to hear from, drop them in the comments. I'm also going to document the journey more. So the process of growing the agency, the process of growing the podcast. Also, if you're interested in some of the content strategy and stuff that we do with our clients, I'm very open to going into that as well. Basically, just drop anything you'd like to see more of in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you made it this far listening or watching, I really appreciate you. I hope you're having a great week. And yeah, we will speak soon. Have a good one. Thank you. Cheers.